This is to no one in particular, as part of the Salvation Army, one of the things that we deal with a lot is food insecurity. And it wasn't really a topic that came up today, and it might have come up with a missing presentation at some point. But our concern is especially with seniors that are living at home that may not have a regular PSW coming in, so maybe the paramedicine would fall into this. But when people are going into their homes, are they checking to see whether they have food? That type of thing. And if they don't have food, do you have a contact to make that happen? We've had a couple of seniors that cannot get out of their homes. We do deliver in North Bay. Oh, should have said that publicly. We do make exceptions because we normally don't. We normally don't deliver, but a lot of the food banks and services require proof of income and all that stuff. When seniors can't get out of the house, they can't get access to services. So we're trying to remove barriers. So just food.
Okay. So if anybody wants to tackle that, I can add a little bit to it as well. But go ahead, because My Way Home will definitely check for that. Go ahead, Bryce.
Can you hear me okay? Community paramedicine doesn't take patients on specifically for delivery. However, any patient that is on, the paramedics will check. And we do have an agreement with the gathering place to keep them on site. So when they are going to that person's house, they get to know them and they'll bring a certain number of people to them. But like I said, it's not sustainable. It's not a permanent program, but we certainly try to fill that gap as well.
Okay, hang on, I'll bring you the mic because we wanted recorded.
So anytime Red Cross is going into a client's home to do an intake or PAC, or whether it be My Way Home, we do an in-home evaluation to determine what the needs are. So it's not just, do you have food? We will take a look to see if they do have food, what type of food, and see if that's a barrier or need. If it's a barrier more specific to My Way Home, we will provide them with frozen meals or if it's available. For the duration of time that they're on service, whether it's the 6 or the 8 week period of time. During that time that we're providing food to them, we will look at how is it going to happen, like what's going to happen later on. So we don't just drop them and stop services at that 6 or 8 week mark saying, okay, so now you've ended the time with us. We will link them with services and make sure that ongoing they have what they need in terms of food security.
Judy, did you want to pick that up as well?
Thank you. Actually, I wanted to add a little to the earlier statement too, that whenever we train our coordinators, we expect them to go in whenever they go into a home to look in the fridge, to look in the bathroom. It's amazing what story that tells when you look in those areas. And it doesn't necessarily matter what type of home or what type of income they have. We've gone into homes where we've been sent in because the individual had such long toenails, ram's horn toenails, that they were cutting into their feet and they actually had reduced their shoe size when they actually received the foot care. But that individual looking in their fridge, all they had was a couple of things of injure, not one other thing. So it's really important that every person that goes into a home does take the time to do that.
Shannon, I saw you had your hand up earlier. Did you want to finish that? Are we good?
I was just going to mention that same with the seniors services as well. We're trying our best to look in fridges, but we've had to be creative in the past in working with some of the agencies here that have already spoken, as well as the food bank to help in situations.
Okay, excellent. Next question. You had a question over here earlier.
So speaking towards the first presentation on mental health, I've got a gal who I think fits every exclusion criteria, but I'll describe it and you tell me what the right door is for. So now 19 years old, during the pandemic, missed 3 years of school just through truancy. Prior to that, I had her at alt school. So she was registered in the school system, became a shut-in, parents overdose on fentanyl. So now she's living in a trailer at the age of 19 and can't get anywhere for mental health. She communicates to me through Discord, and that's about it. So she reached out asking for mental health help, and physically will never be able to come see me again in calendar because of geography. What's her right door?
Is she connected to any kind of school board still, like in theory, maybe not attending, but?
Sort of. So Laurentian Learning Center hung on longer than they should, because, I mean, they've got kind hearts. So they hung on as long as they could. I did what amounts to weird pseudo home visits at Laurentian Learning Center for her to do counseling. So she's got that. She's got a completely dysfunctional online community of Discord numbers. But she does reach out. So it's a 19-year-old reached out to me, right? We tried the soft sell in terms of early sort of reintroduction stuff to get her to the community. I tried to get her to the library, that sort of thing, when she was living in downtown core. Education wise, kind of nothing. Eventually it's not that she burned the bridge with Laurentian Learning Center, but she just eventually got signed up.
Right, so if a student is still connected to a publicly funded school board and they're between the ages of 3 and 21, one of our nurses might be a good fit, and we do have flexibility in how we can reach out to them, so we can use video, we can use phone, so if it's just the getting there in person to touch base, that's one of the main challenges, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. I don't know if she would be the perfect fit, just based on the description you're giving. I mean, I know some other mental health providers that are not as closely in partnership with the school setting might be a better fit. I'm not gonna speak for CMHA, but something like that comes to mind as a possibility to explore.
The only reason why I have hope is that she continues to reach out to me, right? So if you're not cutting off until 21, it might still work.
We could present her to the Gateway Hub. We could definitely do that. All right, next question. Oh, here.
This is for the GCOP program. I was curious if the doctor's office is closed, there's no vehicle, no family, and they are only gonna have the option of going to merge. Is that something you want us to be looking at, getting in touch with you?
You certainly can. We're limited by like from Monday to Friday 8 to 4, but community paramedicine, they both fall under my portfolio. Community paramedicine is 7 days a week, 8 days. And so even if it's a GCOP time, we can have a CP go on the weekend and do an initial assessment and then report back to GCOP. So there's opportunity there.
Sorry, I won't my phone, but for SMH, I was curious. I thought I picked up a sentence in the slides fish beforehand, but it said primary physician. It can't be walk-in or emerge physicians if there is no, if they're orphan.
For seniors' mental health?
Yeah.
It's a little bit tricky. Well, we do accept referrals from Emerge, our specialists and whatnot, but we really try to make sure that whoever primary care is able to sort of loop back to the recommendations made and initiate those.
Yeah, we've gotta have that loop follow-up mechanism.
But perhaps if it fit, the specialized geriatric clinic could be an option. So sometimes, especially with it being a shared referral form, I would still maybe send in the referral or give us a call and chat it out in case there's a way that we might be able to help support.
We had a project we tried to do in Wawasan area last year where we tried to get transgender, queer, 2A, Q plus kids to out loud. And we worked with East Perry Sound Transportation Services, but then we ran up against, you had to be 18 plus. Or you had to have someone 18 plus with you. So that worked for some of the kids because they had a parent that was willing to go with them but didn't have a car. Was how could we do, is there any option for that kind of transportation?
Taylor, can you answer? If not, I'll take it to a transportation provider.
I would go to a transportation because there's so many eligibility and things that they have to be within. So reaching out to the transportation service provider in your community, I feel like it's the best option.
Can you add anything, Stefan?
With Canadian Red Cross, our services specific to seniors. We cannot transport children. There is liability attached, but I think that's a great identifier of a gap in services and transportation as a whole.
Thank you. All right. Next question over here.
I was curious for the SMILE program, the financial threshold that you talked about, is it assets or their, income? It's their income, if you look at, I need to refer them to line, because 15 months.
Yeah, so notice of assessment.
Yeah, the notice of assessment, and we refer them to line 1,500, and that's the number that we look for. So if they own their own home, or then they're okay, that doesn't have to come to. Yes, yes.
You know what, I love this guy. That's right.
I wanted to ask about the program once again for teens. I know you go into, you go into the schools to see them. We have teens that can't access our offices for their mental health because they either don't have transport from their parents or do not want their parents involved, and that means that they really in a legitimate way can't access it. And if it is provided in school, is it confidential for those reasons?
Excellent question.
Yes, what you described would be something we do typically see and the type of clients that we would typically support. So confidentiality for sure. We always talk with students about limits of confidentiality, right, with safety, but yes, it's confidential. We can meet with them at school. If nothing goes beyond those limits of confidentiality, we wouldn't be reaching out to their parents, disclosing that we're meeting with them.
As someone that refers to the program, on the referral form, we definitely have to get consent from the individual as well as the parent, depending on the age. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because depending on their age, you have to have consent from both parties.
Right, so there's no magic number, but the number we often kind of refer to is 12, but if they understand and they consent, that's fine. If they're around 12 and up, they can consent to the program of their own. We do work much more closely with parents for the children, of course, like under 12. It's much more collaborative.
Transportation services for clients over 300 pounds for medical appointments, going to Sudbury surgeries, specifically non-transferable patients. Is there anything in North Bay and surrounding areas that could assist with that?
Taylor, you want to tackle?
I'm gonna say based on the environmental scan, we found a lot of options. I can look more at all of the data to see if I can find, but there is definitely a gap in that area.
I would agree. Anyone? Anna, did you have one? Oh, there's one over here. Bryce? Oh, go ahead, Bryce.
Just to follow up to that, there is a private paper service, Platinum Ambulance, that Sudbury will actually take them.
Is there
I
max?
was gonna say, I don't know what they're, and it's paper service.
I just want to state what I can sort of sense in the room after listening to all this wonderful information. So we here today are all individuals connected to the health and social care system. We've all, I'm sure, learned something today about a service we didn't know anything about. Yes? Yes. Okay, so, but we still in here feel like we can be walking in a maze that all of a sudden we get to a dead end. And we gotta back up and go a different way to find another loophole, another way to get through eligibility criteria, right? So we can only imagine what this must feel like for people who have no knowledge of the system and are starting to try and navigate this. So I want to just leave everybody with a seed in your brain about how can we work together collaboratively over the next year or so to start to understand how do we make this easier. We all want to maintain our piece of the pie. We all want to show that our programs are necessary and a value add, but at the same time, we need to think about the patient and the user and really trying to make things easier for them. Wrap the services around them instead of making them fit the service. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Amy.
I also
Want to remind everyone that we chose, these 5 buckets or 4 buckets. There's multiple buckets out there, right? We just chose the ones that seem to be highlighted lately. there's children, there's meals, there's all kinds of other buckets out there that we are going to highlight in our future community of practice. This is something that I hope you agree that was valuable, that was fruitful, that brought you some additional knowledge. And we are going to continue doing this throughout the community of practice. As we know, programs evolve, they continue to grow, and that information is enriching. It's definitely something that we need to know to be able to, transfer. Knowledge is transferable. It's something that we can provide to our families, to our caregivers, to our clients, and so on. And also as professionals, to our colleagues. I myself work for 2 doctors and 2 primary care practitioners, several nurses, and so on. And I'm the only one that's there as a case manager. So to be able to have all this information, when I receive those referrals, I have to be able to, disseminate this and be able to transfer and refer, because we don't do mitigation of services. I don't do therapeutic counseling. So it's a matter of being able to connect those dots to be able to make the proper referrals. Without this information, the person doesn't go anywhere. The person doesn't receive those services. So it's very important that I stay in tune to what's going on out there and to make sure that I can connect those dots and send a person to the right place. So this community of practice is so important, and that's why we've been trying to build this for so long. Having said that, I'm off my soapbox. Any final questions? Any final words? No. We just really want to thank you, all of you, for taking the time, the effort in your presentations, really, really valuable information. Thank you so much for spending your day or afternoon with us.